Welcome to the Sunflower Conversations, where we explore the hidden disability sunflower and its role in supporting people with hidden disabilities.
Welcome to the Sunflower Conversations. My name is Chantal and I am your host. Today we are joined by Danielle Cudjoe Michalksi. I'm hoping that I have pronounced your surname correctly. Danielle, have I?
Yes, you have.
Okay, great. So Danielle is the CEO at Thinking Light Coach. I met Danielle at NAIDEX, which is the leading event for disability, accessibility and independent living. So Danielle was a guest speaker on the topic of creating inclusive workspaces for neurodiverse talent. So what are we going to talk about today? So what we're going to talk about today is learn a little bit more about Danielle's extensive health journey and learn also about palindromic rheumatism, as well as explore the concept of comorbidities. So I normally lead with giving a visual description of myself, and I was reminiscing and reflecting on that and thought maybe that's not polite. So I am going to ask you, Danielle, to give a visual description of yourself first, and then I shall go second.
Thank you. So I am a dark-skinned black late woman with curly afro hair, glasses, big smile. I am wearing a light top, the sunflower lanyard, obviously. And behind me is a white wall with some of my lovely plants.
They are really lovely for purposes of the recording. There's a nice array of plants and there's one that's climbing up the wall. It's really beautiful. So thank you very much, Danielle. I keep saying in my midlife. I don't know why I'm skirting around the age. It's great to be alive. So I shall actually tell you what my age is. I am 50, just turned 50 this year. I am brown skin. I'm a lady. I'm a woman. I've got long brown curly hair. I've got bright red lipstick on. I'm wearing glasses. I have an earring in my nose and in my ears. I'm wearing a patterned cotton top with lots of swirls on it, blue and red. I have got the white and green I support sunflower lanyard on. So let's begin. First of all, I think we should start at the very beginning. Please, can you tell us what disabilities you have?
So I have quite a few hidden disabilities. It's a different array, and that's what brought us together. So I'll go in kind of the order they kind of came. So I'm neurodivergent. So I'm classifying myself as being neurodiverse. So I have dyslexia with traits of ADHD and dyspraxia. That's my lovely neurodivergence. And then I have several different hidden disabilities. So I have endometriosis and adenomyosis. And I also have what we say is undifferentiated connective tissue disorder, which is a bit of a mouthful. And the main one that we're talking about today is palindromic rheumatism, which is one that is quite rare. Not a lot of people know about it. Not a lot of people have heard about it. And that's why we decided to connect today to talk about palindromic rheumatism and also comorbidities.
Thank you. And so you're born as a neurodiverse individual. It's not something you acquire as you get older. And then the other conditions, did they all manifest at once, or was it a one by one? And I guess that brings us on to comorbidities, because some people won't have heard of that phrase before.
Yeah, so comorbidities means that you have multiple differences, multiple challenges, conditions or diseases, and you're trying to actually manage them all at the same time. And it's great you're pointing out the bit about my neurodivergence, because that, even though I was born with it, I didn't actually get diagnosed till later on in life, which is actually quite pinnacle to the story, because I got diagnosed with dyslexia, and that's all I knew. I didn't have any other health issues. I was kind of an okay health-wise child and teen and young person. And then in my early 30s, I had quite heavy periods and was going more down the fertility and gynecological route. I was seeing my gynecologist, who was absolutely fantastic. And we were talking about some gynae issues that I had, because I had a laparoscopy, which is a procedure you can have from a gynecological procedure. And I was talking to her about some aches and pains I had in my hands. My hands would be flare up, which means they'll get swollen and painful, but they would last maybe a couple of hours, maybe a couple of weeks. They were really sporadic. They moved around the body. It was really weird. And I just kind of mentioned that. And she then referred me to a rheumatologist. Now, I want to make the caveat that I was very privileged because of where I worked and because of the source I had in terms of private healthcare to get such a quick referral. So I just want to make that clear to everybody. This is very unusual. I had been documenting, because this was just about coming into the digital age on digital cameras on phones. So I'd been documenting when I had flare-ups, and I took those photos and explained my experience to the rheumatologist, who was a very, now retired, but was an expert in her field. And I was very blessed to be having one of the best in the field. And she straight away had diagnosed me with palindromic rheumatism. At that point, it wasn't even in the arthritis.org organization categorized. There wasn't much papers about it. There wasn't any information about it. There was a little blog that someone in the US created, back when we used to have blogs, and people from around the world would talk about their experience. So it was very, very rare and very unique. But it is a unique disease in terms of how it manifests and some of the things that happen in regards to that. Fast forward, loads of medication, feeling quite sustainable and consistent. And then I met my husband now, and we went for our fertility journey. And during that fertility journey, I found out that I had definitely had endometriosis, which we now know is also an autoimmune condition. But from that, I came off medication. And due to that, I was going through fertility journey. I ended up having quite a lot of flare-ups in my hands, and it started to, my palindromic rheumatism flared up again. At the end of my fertility journey, I ended up getting critically ill. I was in that hospital. And one of the outcomes of that was I ended up having connective tissue disorder, undifferentiated connective tissue disorder, which is very different to palindromic rheumatism. That impacts inflammation in the fascia and in the connective tissue. And palindromic rheumatism impacts my joints. Okay. So I have with inflammation. So that's where it came to.
And you became critically ill because of the endometriosis, because you weren't able to control it with your medication, or?
It was a combination of things. So I wouldn't have known my endometriosis if I hadn't come off my medication for my palindromic rheumatism to try and go through my fertility. So everything happens for a reason, right? And then because of that fertility, I was going on a lot of hormones. In the beginning, that I felt amazing, but we were in the middle of COVID, and there was a lot of restrictions and a lot of delays with travel, and I was having treatment outside of the UK, and it caused for me to have some complications. That caused me to have DVT, which I now have had multiple times, and also my connective tissue disorder with my palindromic rheumatism, because its underlying autoimmune issue had caused complications. And so I had ongoing issues. And even last year, I ended up having pneumonia and ended up being again a critical because of all these underlying issues. And the surprising thing about it, we talk about hidden disabilities, is if I walk outside of my door and walk him every day, no one has a clue that any of this happens.
Yeah, I mean, looking at you, we're recording this on Zoom, and I can tell you that Danielle looks the picture of health. I mean, she really, really does. And so that just makes it so difficult to get the understanding from other people, because there's just really nothing outwardly obvious, immediately apparent to the eye, from where I'm sitting. So that's why these conversations are really great. So just to go back, you said DVT, so that is deep vein thrombosis, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really dangerous.
Yeah, really dangerous. I ended up, like I said, having pneumonia last year and a clot on my lung. And now I'm on medication for life for DVT. on blood thinners. So it's in other complications. And this is the thing, when we talk about comorbidities, someone might be diagnosed with X, but actually due to complications they have, a simple thing like a cold and cough, which I had, which my husband also had and my mum had, and they recovered, ended up having a detrimental impact on my health and adding more complications. So it's really important that people understand that it isn't just one set in time, that this can evolve over time.
Yeah. And I would imagine, I'm no doctor, so this is just me, thinking the body is put under pressure trying to look after and fight off these different illnesses and effects. Then I guess that does cause, I guess it's a little bit like when a leak gets sprung, isn't it? It's trying to plug that leak, and then the pressure builds, and then oops, there's another leak there. And I guess that's kind of how comorbidities like manifest within the human body. I don't know.
Yeah, 100%. And not just in your human body, but also in your mind as well. We have that
Mm.
mind-body connection. And I'm very much an advocate. I talk about, neurodiversity is my field of expertise. But, that impacts for me when you're having somebody who has, physical symptoms and cognitive symptoms, that plugging of the hole becomes even more complicated.
Yes. Yeah. Complex.
Mm.
So before we learn a bit more about what palindromic rheumatism is, I just wanted to also just go back to the connective tissue disorder, because you mentioned fascia, and it wasn't until recently that I actually learned what that is, and many people might not know what it is. So would you mind explaining in your words what our fascia is?
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't really know much about it. And please note that I am not a healthcare professional or doctor. So this is just my interpretation of fascia. Feel free to contact your GP. Just putting that FYI out there.
Yeah.
Basically, the muscles in your body, and not I'm talking about the bone, the muscles in your body and how you move your body are combined of multiple different layers. You have different layers of tissue, different layers of muscles, but you have this thing called fascia, and it's elasticated and it moves around and it flexes. And it's used to help with sometimes movement with the joints and the connective tissue that you can have within the joints. It helps with kind of like blood flow. There's loads of different things it can help with. But the fascia, we don't really talk about it. It's literally everywhere in all parts of the muscle of the body. And this is the bit that people don't really understand, because unlike a joint, you can feel the bone in your wrist. You can feel it there. And other than a bit of skin and blood vessels and a bit of tissue around it, you kind of understand that. But the fascia runs in between some of the muscles and connects muscles and that inflames, which means that you're not isolated to one specific area. You could be isolated to multiple different areas in that muscle and across different layers of that muscle as well. And that's where that inflammation could be really, really quite have a lot of impact. So, for example, you can have fascia around certain major organs, and therefore that can cause, if that inflammation happens, that can have impact on those organs. So it's really important that people kind of understand that we're not just the one layer you see in your I'm going old school Psychopedia or what you've Googled online. We're multi-layered, and there's different parts that can be impacted.
Thank you, because that's interesting. Again, I'm all, this is brilliant. I love these conversations, and I literally learn so much that it can be around your organs, because the reason I found out about it, and again, this is a personal thing, I don't talk about any advocating for any treatments at all, but just I had a craniosacrum massage, and the therapist was like just putting her hands underneath me. I was like, what's happening? I don't really feel like this is not a massage, am I being hoodwinked here? And anyway, over the course of the session, what she had done was this is not the correct terminology either, but melted the fascia. So I
Yes,
sort of
soften it
just
out and
softened it
get to
out, yeah.
relax. Yeah,
And
it's
I
trying to
just
get
sort
rid
of
of the
went
inflammation.
like really heavy, like, it was like, whoa, I literally felt my body melting into the table. So
Yeah.
that's where I first heard this term fascia, and again, I didn't even think about, okay, well, it's inside, and it's all around your organs and everything. It's absolutely fascinating. It really
Yeah.
is.
And there is, I've not had one yet. One thing I've been advised by osteopath and by a physio is to probably have regular massages like that, even lymph drain massages, not anything like the kind of heavy ones or the kind of softer ones that you have when you go on spa day, but to help with the fascia, to help move it, because I will have a lot more tension in my body, in my muscles and my joints due to that fascia just being inflamed constantly.
Yeah.
Trying to get it to relax and kind of calm down. So a lot of if you see top of my neck's hair, if you're an expert, you'd be like, oh, that looks like there's tension there. That's a lot of it's due to my connective tissue disorder and my palindromic rheumatism.
You are listening to the Sunflower Conversations with Chantal. To learn more about the sunflower, visit our website. Details are in the show notes. Tell me, palindromic rheumatism. Saying it, I keep wanting to say palindromic. Tell me what symptoms do you experience? And you said it's inflammation of your joints, right?
Yeah, so palindromic rheumatism, and I was having a look at arthritis.org because obviously they have very nice definitions on it.
Yes.
But basically it's very similar to what you know as arthritis or rheumatism, which is inflammation of the joints. The difference with palindromic rheumatism is literally in its name. So palindromic is a word that is spelt the same way forward as it is backwards in Western language, because obviously we've got other languages where it is different. And that means that these inflammation can move from one side of the body to the other. And literally, when we say move, it moves. So you could have a flare up in your wrist one moment that can move to your shoulder, then to your elbow, and it can just move to joints around your body. That's one of the symptoms. The second symptom is it can come out of nowhere and it can last for very short periods, 2 months. So you can have a flare that can last literally an hour or a few hours to weeks and months. Some people have had it for a year. And the third bit is there's no joint damage, which is one of the major indications of arthritis. So when people are usually diagnosed with from rheumatism, so a rheumatism in the joint area to arthritis, there's a sign when they have their scan done of damage to that bone, to that cartilage, to that joint, for whatever reason. And in palindromic rheumatism, you don't have that damage. So number one, it's very hard to diagnose. It looks very symptomatic and it has a lot of kind of like clinical results as other rheumatism or arthritis diagnosis. But the most awkward or challenging aspects to it is it's coming and going and it's moving around, because you do have this sense of being, the wolf, the one in wolf clothing. Are you really sick if it's the same joint and it's moved to a different joint and it doesn't last that long? You can go from running a marathon and doing a long jog to not being able to get out of bed. It can be that drastic. And I've seen that through my health journey. And I've spoken to others, who've come from all over the world. You talked about, is it the temperature? Is it the food we eat? Is it is it ethnicity? Is it gender? And there's an array of people in the group who've come from different parts of life, different countries, who've all said, well, no, I live in this area, so I don't have that impact. And I still have issues, and different joints. Some people have lower body joints, some people like me have upper body joints. It really does vary, but the most important thing is there has been consistent over time of these flare-ups that have happened, and they have moved from multiple joints, and they have not shown a damage to those joints, and those were the 3 criterias.
Okay, crikey. So are you tuned into your body all the time for, like, if there's a pain, like you say, in your wrist, are you then waiting for it to bounce to another part in your body?
I mean, it's so difficult. So you're going from, let's go back to Danielle in her 20s, like out with her friends, enjoying life, traveling, in the gym, very active. And if you add on my ND brain is a very much a creative, active brain. I worked in STEM for years, but I just loved moving. And I was always able to do a job where I can move and talk to people all the time. And so that's always been a part of who you are. And so when you have a chronic illness, so if I think about my undifferentiated connective tissue disorder, which has probably more of an impact these days, that is very consistent. So I know what I can and can't do now. But when I was going through the early phases of palindromic rheumatism, and some of it still shows up now, you think, well, yesterday I was fine. So today, why not? Like I went out, I was like, I can do that holiday. And you're literally managing your energy, but not really knowing if you're going to be impacting, which means it has a massive impact on mental health. So the massive, massive impact on my mental health, my confidence, my interactions, my social life, you know, friends and what I couldn't do. I was the girl who would go out and do the craziness on the weekend on Saturday, Fridays and Saturdays, and literally not move on Sunday.
Yeah.
Because I've over analyzed or overcompensated, because I was fine last week and then this week I'm not. And then obviously when you think about the workplace, when you think you're okay one week and suddenly you're having to take off sick days and you're trying to judge how you're going to be okay. Are you going to be able to go back into the lab or into your role? Can I physically drive? I remember driving with flare-ups with one hand. Do not tell the DVLA. Because I've got a flare-up that happens when I was at work and I have to get home and I have to drive home. Things like this, it is a real thing. And I think, and I'm going to have loads of people probably message saying, well, check your diet and check your exercises and look for triggers. Easier said than done. I've done multiple elimination diets and tracked exercises and things, and I still have flare-ups. So it's easier said than done. And everybody's journey is very, very different.
Yes, definitely. That is definitely true. And from everything you've said already, I can tell you're somebody who really does pay attention. You said that when you went to the consultant, you went with a diary that you'd already done, like I can tell that you're very in tune with your body and you're, in terms of then being able to document it and show it as kind of evidence, to like, well, what can we do here in order to get a diagnosis? So there's always wonder cures on the internet and this, that, and the other, aren't there? Lots of people I spoke to with chronic health conditions have just said that, they just don't work.
Yeah, they don't. And also, just because it works for one person doesn't mean it works for you. And that happens both from a chronic illness perspective, but also from a neurodivergent perspective, which, we need to understand that. Try it, see, and make sure you contact your health professional if you're doing anything with your health, particularly if you're on medication, because a lot of stuff that is now healthy, a lot of things that are coming out, like all the mushrooms and stuff, if you're on certain medication, you cannot take.
Yes.
And be both so careful, particularly if you've got any sort of autoimmune or rheumatism or thing like that, like I do, or in blood thinners like I am, have to be really careful about the actual supplements that someone might recommend that might work, but unfortunately I can't take.
Yeah.
To make sure you get support when you're going for those journeys. But yeah,
I remember the doctor saying to me once, just because it's from the health food shop doesn't mean there aren't side effects.
Yeah.
So, for us just to be a bit more, but just to be mindful of that. But anyway, we're not dispensing healthcare, admit, that, but it's just a warning, really, isn't it? Just to speak to your doctor, basically.
Yes, 100%. And your consultant, 100%. Yeah.
You are listening to the Sunflower Conversations. Remember to hit subscribe. So sometimes you're in severe pain that you can't move from your bed, or
so it could be to the point where I struggle to get out of bed. So my self healthcare just literally goes down. Eating can be a problem. So not only do I get the pains in the joints and obviously now the tissues, but if we're going to palindromic rheumatism, mainly the joint area, I also get swelling. So I can get a random swelling in the middle of my head, or my lip could suddenly swell up, or my eye could swell up. And that's also a part of my palindromic rheumatism that
Is it?
manifests for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
So you get swellings as well. It's
yeah. So
something
I get swelling of the joints as well, which you usually
yeah.
would see. And you probably, if you saw that and you'd spoken to multiple people, you probably would have been like, oh, I can recognize that. But I would wake up and like my lip might just be swollen, like someone
Wow.
punched me, or I'd have a part of my head that would just like literally just come out and be swollen for no reason.
So it's not necessarily attached to the bone.
No, it's
Right,
just
right.
general inflammation that comes up, mainly in my facial area. I do have upper body inflammation, so most of the inflammation I've had with my palindromic rheumatism has been joints and upper body. But there's something around my face which I get inflammation with as well that corresponds with my palindromic rheumatism. Because I might get a pain in a joint and then a swelling a lip. And it's like,
Yes.
why would I get that at the same time? I haven't ate anything or done anything. And then the fatigue, the physical fatigue, which a lot of obviously people on this podcast and with hidden disabilities talk about, is another thing that has a massive impact. And it's not just joint pain and connective tissue inflammation, but that fatigue and feeling that drain and not being able to move, not being able to do everyday tasks like brushing your teeth. Like I cannot live without electric toothbrush. That is a godsend.
Yeah.
There's certain things that I have to have. I don't have all the things I probably do need.
Yes.
We'll get onto that. But yeah, I have quite a lot of things that help me. And I have my mum who's very active and my husband and stepson who have been instrumental in just supporting me on a regular basis.
Without that network,
Yeah.
your life would be very different.
Yeah. When I hear about people who are doing it on their own, I don't know how they do it. Simple things. One of the things I had with recently with the connective tissue and pus after having the pneumonia and the clots was really bad inflammation in my back muscles where my mum literally has to massage it for me to be able to sleep.
Wow.
This ball in my bed and I'd have to massage it a little bit to get it to just relax, just so I could sleep every single day. When I was with my mum, she'd do it. With my husband, he'll try and do it. If not, I have the little plastic ball. And it was for pretty much, it's been a year now. And every single night I need to do massage to get it to relax.
My goodness.
Yeah. And even with osteopaths, who my osteopath is absolutely amazing, has helped it be less pain.
Yeah.
But when it flares up bad, it's really painful. So to have to cope with that on your own and not have someone to just help you, just to recognize that this is something that you're in pain and maybe you need to stop and rest. Just those little things. Community is so important. And I think that's one thing I like about the hidden disabilities is it's actually just creating a community. I walk on, before I used to wear mine, I'd walk on the train and I knew about it and I'd see people wear theirs. I went to a festival and I saw people wear this. This is early phases, not as popular now. And just knowing that other people are going through that and are enjoying life. Because sometimes you feel like I'm ill, I shouldn't be out enjoying my life. I shouldn't be at a festival. I should be out in bed. I should be at a gym. I shouldn't be out having a meal. I should,
Suffer. Be
I
miserable.
suffer for the pain. It justifies me wearing this kind of martyry thing. And I know we're breaking down the narrative, but having someone out of those places wearing those means I'm not the only one. Someone else is in their life and they have hidden disabilities as well, and we can, and it kind of in a way justifies it, which is probably the biggest thing learning and newest learning that I've had.
I think that you're not alone with that sort of fear. Some people are worried that will it make them a target or something like that. Are they disabled enough to wear it? Is it okay for them to wear it? And we don't have any ask for proof of disability, because it's about, as you said, it's about creating a community and creating a society of allies, so
Yeah.
that you don't have to say, run through the list of all your comorbidities. It's just, actually, I might need an offer of support. If I ask, to sit down, this lanyard is just letting you know that I've got something going on that you can't see. So you don't need to be questioning me about it or abrupt with me. Just be kind. And that's what it's for. And so and I hear quite a lot sunflower wearers say that when they see somebody else wearing one, it's just a little kind of knowing nod, and I'm not alone,
Yeah.
and that it really means a lot.
And I've seen the sunflower lanyard in so many different places. My mum has the pin now, 'cause it's a support that she wears all the time, whether she's with me or not. And people ask her questions about it, and she can explain that, I'm supporting someone. I saw it when I was in A&E. The nurse had one in because she was supporting her son was autistic, and she wanted to wear it at work. Her son's not with her.
Brilliant.
It's just raising that awareness. I recently traveled, which I spoke to you about, and I documented every aspect, and I wore it majority of the time to see how people in different countries and to Canada and see how they used it, how it was in the UK. I wear it at conferences, when I speak events, I talk about it and I raise awareness about it. And to me, it's not about the business besides it. It's about the community. It's about, like you said, especially when I was younger and I was in A&E, I remember one time particularly a doctor telling me to get up and give an old lady a chair because that old lady couldn't sit down. If I had this lanyard, he might have thought twice, because he doesn't know why I'm there. He just sees a young person sitting on a chair and thinking that that old person needs that, or that person who shows a thought or looks like they might have a disability needs that, and you're fine. And I had to advocate for myself. And particularly from the Black community, the Black and brown community, again, there's a lot of discrimination we have around pain and what's perception. So for me to wear it, it also allows people in my community to say, okay, she's got, what is that? That's showing that I've got hidden disability. Like, I know our community is prideful. We don't want to go through the details, but this is a nice way of showing that I might need support.
Yeah.
You don't need to ask that. I don't need to explain or justify it to you, but it just shows that I need some support. And the more that people are aware of it, the more they realize just to ask you if they feel like, or they can see that something's not quite right. Do you need help? And then you have the empowerment to say, yeah, I do, or no, I don't, or as I do on mine, just touch the code and I can tell you if I'm nonverbal. So
Danielle's got the the new Sunflower Extra card, which is NFC enabled, which means it acts like a contactless card. So you can just tap it onto your mobile device. And in the instance that Danielle has just described, if she might be non-verbal in a particular scenario, she doesn't need to feel anxious that she can't get across what her access needs are, because she's created her own digital profile. She taps it on her phone and just shows the display to whoever it is she wants to communicate with. So it's taking out another layer of stress and anxiety, and really just being able to get across your needs when you need to. So I'm really glad to hear how it's working for you, Danielle. That's awesome.
And I want to add something else to this. So there's two things I want to add. Firstly, this was really good because it made me think about what I needed. I think if you have lived with chronic illness and you haven't paid any attention to it, you're not a part of, you're not an advocate in the field. I am now, and I have been in my organization with employee resource groups. So I had awareness about disabilities and neurodiversity before, but if you're not advocating, you're just living your every life, you don't really have time to think about what you need. And by filling the digital form in, it made me really think about what I needed. So what it was is when I have to go for an application for accessibility for whatever reason, like I did for the very first time traveling, I was able to take what I put and copy and paste it in because I'd already thought about it, which was less overwhelming for me cognitively, because that would have been overwhelming and I wouldn't have filled it in from a neurodivergent perspective. The second thing is it was just very easy to be able to have this tapped. and also to hold the multiple comorbidities when we talk about comorbidities in one. The reason I didn't get the others in the past was I would sit on the website and be like, yeah, I need like a whole batch of them to fill in. Like, which one specifically? I need that endometriosis one, or I need that one. Oh, they haven't got one for palindromic rheumatism, so a generic one. Oh, we got a new one for dyslexia. And I remember talking to the amazing CEO and yourself at the NESDEC around how empowering having something that could put multiple differences on, and that people can feel like they could have and you can choose whatever support you want here. So it's really kind of like adaptable to your needs, because everybody's different. Not two people who are neurodivergent, two people with palindromic rheumatism may not need the same needs. And that was another, to me, a game changer in the card. So for me, that was, the next level of use. Even if I couldn't tap it, just being able to have this and showing the multiple needs I have, and people, like when I get overwhelmed, I can be nonverbal. I can go into that point when I go inner myself and I may be on my own. And just having this there and seeing places like, transport locations and airports and other people know what this means. It makes a big difference to when my network's not around me,
Fabulous. I feel really emotional actually, how you just explained that.
It is.
Yeah, I do. Thank you for sharing that. And the other great thing, let's try and reel back the tears here. The other great thing is that you can, and you're traveling with it on the digital profile, there's a translate button at the top. So you can hit translate. So whatever country you're in, you can still communicate. So that's super duper. We've spoken about the people you have around you to help you, your network. What practical support or accommodations help you most in your daily routine?
So I think the most practical ones for me has been in my work, and it was having flexible time and being able to work from home, which I know is very controversial. I was working one day from home before COVID, but when COVID hit, and also that was the time when a lot of my other illnesses kicked in, been able to have that flexibility with my workplace and been able to put that accommodation where I could work from home was really important, because it enables me to manage my energy. One of the biggest things with individuals who have comorbidities that are cognitive and physical is around that fatigue. So one day I could have great focus, be on the ball, really proactive, but have physical fatigue and be not able to do much work and be pushing myself because I'm like, oh, but my brain's working so great. Come on, let's do it. That can have a massive impact. And then it can switch. I could have, really feel great physically, not have any flare up, but cognitively feel overloaded and drained. And being able to manage my energy, not just my time at work, was a game changer. I know that I was from a privileged career and opportunity to be able to do that. But for me, I think really for employees and organizations to think about how they can be flexible within the needs of the role. Now, bearing in mind, one of my roles was a scientist, so working on a bench scientist in a lab. So some of that is around you thinking about what you need and how you can work with your organization, your manager, and your employer around what that may look like. On the other hand, I think if I was working from home too much, I won't move, I won't get out. And so for me, with my palindromic rheumatism, movement actually is quite important, because like arthritis, it can get stiff, your joints can swell up, they can get, if you don't move around, and obviously the DVT, I need to move as well. So it's understanding those levels and being able to negotiate that, okay, I need to be active, but then I might need some rest, or I will work from home maybe a couple of days a week, and then other days I'll come in, and that works well. And having that is a dialogue.
Yes, yeah, because your needs are going to change, aren't they? They're going to flex and move from a it could be like a daily basis, a weekly basis, or even from hour to hour. So keeping that open dialogue going with your employer is crucial.
And have the courage to continue having it. Like when you have that and you have that initial conversation, don't say this is the end of it. Express that this might be ongoing, and you can create that space as the individual to say, can I come back to you? So you're making that commitment. Now, not all employers are supportive. We know that the world is where it is, but by you making that first step, you're understanding a little bit about your employee, but you're also self-advocating, which is one of my biggest things that we don't do across a lot of hidden disabilities.
So finally, I'd like to end with Danielle just explaining a little bit about the services that her organisation provides. It's called Thinking Like Coach Services. So if you explain a little bit about what you do, and if anybody would like to reach out, how they can find you.
Yeah. So Thinking Like Coach is who I am. I am a coach, speaker, and trainer around all things to do with neurodiversity. I support clients on a one-to-one basis on neurodivergent individuals, but I also help and work with organizations in terms of coaching, leadership training, and speaking around my lived experience. So if you want to reach out and contact me, you can either contact me at hello@thinkinglikecoach.com, or you can find me on my social media. So you could Danielle Cudjoe Michalski on LinkedIn, or Thinking Like Coach on LinkedIn. And if you really want to get some behind the scenes and have a little bit of a laugh and understand a little bit more about me, feel free to follow me on Instagram at Thinking Like Coach. I do a lot of skits and insights into an ND life, also around having hidden disabilities, with some tips and guides around how you can help yourself, whether it's at home or at work.
Superb, thank you. We should put those details in the show notes as well, so that people can easily access them. And I shall be checking out your Instagram as well.
Have a look.
I will. If you are concerned about any of the subjects discussed in the podcast, please follow up and seek support from your healthcare practitioner. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it. Leave a rating and review to help raise awareness of non-visible disabilities and the hidden disability sunflower. You can also follow and subscribe to the Sunflower Conversations podcast.
If you'd like to share your sunflower story or conversation, please email conversations@hiddendisabilitiesstore.com. Find out more about us or listen to this recording again by checking out our insights page at hiddendisabilitiesstore.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Please help, have patience, and show kindness to others, and join us again soon. Making the invisible visible with the Hidden Disability Sunflower.